welcome to Dollar Bets. I'm O, this is Z.
I'm Z.
Welcome to our first ever, fourth show ever.
When down the stretch they come. It's Kentucky Derby Day, probably in like a couple hours, so we should get to our Derby picks. You know, to advise our 17 listeners to make the right pick and get rich off the horses that are rid by small men.
You get into it? Do you watch the Derby every year?
Not every year. Okay, so one time I threw a very small party, and there was like 3 guys. It was me and 2 guys. Okay, I swear this is a clean story.
Did you wear a hat?
I did not wear a hat. We divvied up some of the horses with like we drew horses out of like a cup or something, and then we had a bet. Like, oh no, we didn't draw out of a cup. We did. We wrote them all down, and we wrote the odds down, and then I devised a system where like the first couple horses were worth like if they win you win like $2, and then the horses that had lower odds, you know, you could win more dollars, right? More money, more dollars. And then this one guy his name was Sex Mex is what we called him, and his horse was like a 60-1 horse, 55-1, 52-1, something like that. This is like 2008 maybe. And so you could look it up. It actually happened. This horse wins, and he's like, "Oh, I won!" So he won all the money.
So I don't know why my head went there, but when you said that you guys drew horses, like what I was picturing in my head was like you guys had like markers and you were drawing horses like some Billy Madison scene or something. Like a bunch of grown adult men just doing arts and crafts on Kentucky Derby Day.
Oh my god, that's amazing. We should do that.
I don't know why that is what I assumed you had meant.
Once we get popular, we have to do that, where you have to wear like a horse hat. That's like, you know, like a visor. You wear a visor with a horse, like decorative horse on top of it. And the odds for you to win. And just like, and then you get to proudly prance around when your horse wins. Like you have to do like the couch. It has to be at a place where the couch is like nicely strategically placed center, so that you can like, you know, hop around like a horse. So like even though you win,
my living room is set up. I can definitely circumnavigate my couch.
We're doing it in Detroit, baby. Derby in Detroit. Derby Detroit drawings. Triple D's.
Yeah. Should we
get to the horse picks, man? These people want to know who to pick. Would you say they're chomping at the bit for this bit?
Who you got? Who's your first pick?
I'm taking Honor Marie.
Honor Marie. What are Honor Marie's odds?
On that site that we probably both looked at, it was 20-1, but I think he's down to 10-1.
Okay.
Right. And it's partly because of the weather conditions.
Pick was Sierra Leone.
Ooh, where is Sierra Leone?
That's in Africa.
I figured.
It's like in West Africa.
Ah, yes. Is it below or above Senegal or next to it?
It is west of Senegal.
It's close to it in the alphabet, also.
Also true.
Okay, my second pick, right? You go. Your second pick.
Oh yeah, and then the other one that I was picking was where was it? I'm scrolling through all these horses. Oh yeah, West Saratoga was my other one.
Nice. That's a big horse area, Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that was for that, not Saratoga, Florida. My second one is just the tip. I mean, just the what was it?
Oh yeah. Just a touch.
Just a touch, not just the touch, or just the tip,
yeah.
or just
hopefully a tip. Just a touch does not give you just the tip.
Just a touch is gonna give me the full first place or second. We're gonna. I would say just the touch is probably gonna show, or place, and not actually win, because it's just a touch. Oh my god, we got a lot of horse puns all day.
Alright, well, I will tell you one thing for sure about this race.
Yeah.
I will not be watching it. I am not a Derby guy.
You don't like, is it animal brutality?
Oh, I'm fine with animal brutality.
Believe me, I love it.
What do they call the Kentucky Derby? Like the most exciting 2 minutes in sports or something like that?
It's not.
It's not.
It's exciting, but I mean, the most exciting 2 minutes of sports is like the last 24 seconds of a close basketball game.
Yeah, but that happens all the time.
I know, that's true. But so does the Derby. Aww.
I'm not getting into it.
So, I have a funny Derby story for you.
Let's get a funny Derby story.
I didn't actually go to the Derby, but I wanted to. But I had a sprained ankle, and I had won some money on the tournament that year. It was 2008 actually, the year all 4 seeds made it, and I picked that in one of my brackets. I think several of my brackets. I just hedged the champs and stuff, and so which is a good strategy we'll get into next March. I sprained my ankle playing basketball like during the tournament, like on the weekdays. So I was on like a crutch, and like I had to like I still had my ankle kind of iced up by that point after the tournament was over, and then the Derby is like the next month, and I was like I'm still a little banged up, and like I probably shouldn't spend the money, but obviously I was going to spend money betting on it, and I think this was the year that was like Big Brown was the winner, and he was like 2-1, but I saw all these guys like touting him that were like at the Derby, and Michael Jordan had bet like $100,000 on him or something, and I was like, Michael Jordan the player, amazing, incredible, the GOAT. Michael Jordan the anything else besides brand ambassador, you know, like that was my feeling at the time, and so I bet on a different horse, and Big Brown like destroyed them, and the second horse, I think this is the same year that. There's this one, the girl horse. What are they called?
Mare?
Are they mares if they're racing horse? Is that the breeding horse, the one that gets boned?
All I know is the stallion is the male horse.
The stallion is the male horse that goes to stud. Otherwise, you're just a horse until you're like doing it for money.
You know what? I will let you keep telling your story while I Google this in the background.
Right. You're like back. We don't have a stats guy, so you're the stats guy. Like the breed. We know all about the breeding principles of horses and 2008 horse knowledge. So it was a different year actually, because this was okay. Anyways, the other one was like 2009, and this was 2008. So this was 08, and Big Brown, I think, was the name of the horse. And there was a second horse, and it had to be put to sleep, and that was the one Hillary Clinton was involved with. And I just thought that was, for some reason, really not kind of humorous. Not that the horse died, but just like these people like backing these horses, and you're like, you know, sometimes they call politics a horse race, and you know, she ended up losing the primary, right, that year.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, her campaign got put down, and so did.
I've got some horse research.
Okay.
All right, a male horse under the age of 4 is a colt. After the age of 4, it is a stallion. But if he's been neutered, he is a gelding.
A gelding.
Yep. All right, and then on the female side, a female under 4 is a filly.
Yes.
After 4, it's a mare. And then this is interesting. Once a female horse is given birth, it's called a dam.
A dam?
Yeah.
Forever?
I've never heard that term before, but
can female
right,
horses?
That's horse talk, I think, for one day.
No. I have more horse talk. Real quick. Can are dams? Are they just like done? Or can they have more kids? Like, is a stallion gonna like knock up a single mother?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't really look that much.
I need you to Google stallion single mother probability. Okay. Next time.
Next time.
Okay.
Let's move on from horse racing.
We got to get to our accounting, right?
We do. We got some housekeeping here. So, let's get our Venmos up on our phones.
All right, getting them Venmo up.
First bet that we had to settle. We had bet on Game 5 of the Indianapolis Pacers Milwaukee Bucks series.
Correct. Who won?
We had Z taking Indy. We had O taking Milwaukee. And what happened?
Milwaukee won.
Which means
O gets paid $1.
Give me that dollar.
Here it comes. What's it for? O impeccable genius. I'm gonna typing O's impeccable genius. I'm spelling impeccable wrong. AI is not taking care of for Venmo, so there's a lot of idiots out there on Venmo that are sending money back and forth with misspellings.
I can't wait till we have some technology added to this show and I can just actually have my phone being captured when I'm sending you these Venmos and vice versa.
Yeah, I know, right? So I tried to capture the sound of it last time, but I don't think it came through. But it's okay. We'll get there. We'll get a soundboard eventually. Do you remember the Gus Johnson?
All right, the next bet that we had was Game 5 of the Dallas Clippers series with Z betting on Dallas and O betting on the Clippers. That one, of course, went to Dallas, so I now am paying Z $1.
Yeah, getting that dollar, making me holla in the Impala.
And then we had one other wager, and that was the entire series of Indy versus Milwaukee.
Got the dollar.
Back a couple episodes.
Clippings.
Ago. You had bet the Pacers, I had bet the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
And once again, you came out victorious there, so I'm paying you another.
Victorious. We are.
We
are.
You.
Victorious.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
So we are now all settled up. We will, of course, make some more bets and wagers at the end of this episode. So, yeah, the NBA playoffs are going to be transitioning to round 2. We actually had the first round 2 game later today.
Yes.
Still one more game 7 from the first round that needs to be settled. That is going to be Cleveland, Orlando. That is going to be tomorrow afternoon.
In Cleveland,
correct?
yeah, in Cleveland.
Yeah, 1 o'clock game tomorrow.
Oh, that's an interesting time for Game 7.
What do you think about that series?
Who's going to pull that off? I think Orlando. I think Orlando's got it. Donovan Mitchell scored 50 points and they lost.
Right.
And he didn't lose because Donovan Mitchell was hogging the ball or anything, or he shot poorly. No one else did anything, and Darius Garland kind of made a poo-poo down the stretch, unfortunately for him, and for Cleveland fans, but not for me because I had Orlando in the series from the get-go. But was looking bleak when it was 2-0 Cleveland with 2 blowouts. But then both games in Orlando, games 3 and 4 were blowouts, and then game 5 and 6 were both close. I'm thinking game 7 is not going to be a blockbuster game like the Knicks Sixers. The last 3 or 4 of those Knicks Sixers games were incredible, and I'm going to say that Orlando wins by more than a couple possessions.
Yeah. So you're going.
Yeah, I got Orlando. Would you take Cleveland?
No, I actually guessed Orlando would take this series from the get-go. I'm going to use some different rationale.
Yeah.
6 games in, it's been 6 home-winning teams. I would have to do some research into the history of 7-game series, but I think the odds of a home team winning 7 straight games has got to be so minute that I just feel like at some point a road team should win a game.
That's different. That's pretty good logic, I think, because that's no matter what the odds are telling you about Game 7, that's taking a different and more. You're extrapolating the data into well, what are the odds that this just doesn't go calmly back and forth, especially as the margin of victory has been shrinking, right? This makes sense.
In that game 5, Cleveland won at home by a point.
They won by I think 2 points, and they blocked a shot near the buzzer.
Yeah.
They won by a point, but they had a 3-pointer at the buzzer when they were down by 4. Orlando did.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say So you agree with Orlando that they're gonna win by a couple possessions at least, but for different reasons.
Yeah, I don't see either of these teams blowing one of them blowing out the other at this point in the series.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I just don't think Cleveland has enough. Jared Allen didn't play, right? Was he? I haven't see NBA TV. Like, God bless you, but I haven't. I don't have that network, and it's like I stopped bootlegging games recently because my Google Chrome is like messed up from doing that. So I use Microsoft Edge. Please give us some money. I do have a backup computer. I should do that, but this game's gonna be on regular TV. I think this is the last one that's on.
Jared Allen did not play Game 6.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's gonna play Game 7, but I also don't know if it's going to matter because Mitchell went off, and it doesn't, and like they just couldn't do it. Like they don't have enough for the mid post game and like shit and 3-pointers for Orlando, and like Orlando plays more cohesively. Cleveland plays like it's a player short, and it's not Jared Allen short. It's like a player not playing like crap down the stretch short, or like an extra wing player. Like instead of like a young up and coming guy or an aging KG veteran, you have Max Strus out there, and it's like Max Strus can go on a heater, but when he's not going on a heater, from what I've observed, he's probably not the guy for, getting to that next step for a team like Cleveland. Never won a goddamn thing without LeBron, so they haven't. The whole city has never won a goddamn thing without LeBron since the '60s.
Okay.
I mean, they had the Cleveland Browns mistake by the lake or whatever. They had Ernest Biner fumbling, and I think twice or something. Yeah, I mean, that it's the doomed place. The World Series, Indians and Cubs, something had to give. The Indians, gave that game away in the 10th inning, and they had to change their name. I think that's why they did it, to distance themselves from losing, not because of any connotations that it's not okay to have Indians and have a logo with an Indian. What their interpretation of what an Indian means, which is believed to be Native American. So I'm convinced that Cleveland is not a progressive place. So I think they just did it to distance themselves from losing.
What if they had actually decided to keep the name Indians, but then they just changed the logo to be somebody from the Asian nation of India?
The Asian nation, the South Asian nation of India. So are you saying that somewhat questionable saying of DOT or feather, and they're like, oh, let's just switch feather for this. They're like, what? Yeah. Oh my god! So they have like an Apu kind of caricature.
Yeah, Apu Napasa Peter Penland.
Yeah, just like a caricature. Oh my god! They're like, and it's Cleveland, so they wouldn't like pick like a successful family man that's like a doctor or like or lawyer or a business owner. They'll I mean, Apu owned a business. He owned a successful business in Springfield. But, like, they pick some other, like, they pick, like, a call center thing or something. So it's Cleveland. They'd mess it up. They would mess it up 100%. That's what Cleveland does. We're losing all the listeners in Cleveland, but they know it. They know it. They know it. They'll always know it. Good luck paying Deshaun Watson $400,000 billion.
You are taking on the heel character.
Yes.
With this wrestling storyline, just going after hometown fans.
Cleveland's not a babyface; they're a disgrace. So in sports, and they're sports fans, but like I'm sure it's nice there. Well, I'm not sure it's nice there, but
I've never been to Cleveland, which is surprising for how close it is to the city.
Also, how much of an adventurer you are, and like you're not just a overseas like adventurer that's lived overseas. You're also like you go places just in general. But like how many? But
plenty of places in Ohio.
Yeah, but how many like music festivals or key games or hiking or mountains or rivers or anything like that is in Cleveland?
I've gone camping in Cleveland. There's some great, or in Ohio, rather.
Yeah, but in Cleveland area. In Cleveland.
No, I don't know. I can't tell you anything about Cleveland.
How much did they pay the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to settle in Cleveland?
So Very interesting question. Like, that never would have been my first choice of cities for anything related to music.
I mean, they had. I don't understand. Yeah, why? I know there's that phrase "Cleveland rocks" from the Drew Carey show, but is that why? Because the I mean, it started in like '87. Yeah, it started in '87, but they used to have the song "Cleveland rocks." Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland sucks. You know, like I think that's how it went. I think that the only way those teams are ever going to win without LeBron, again, without LeBron, is to move. He's Deshaun Watson. Like the only reason you haven't heard him get in trouble yet is because there's no pleasure in Cleveland, i.e., no massage parlors ever, anywhere. There's no available masseuses on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, anywhere. Yellow Pages, no pleasure in Cleveland. Okay, what's next? We got Orlando. We both agree.
No. Do some Googling in the background of why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, and they're actually, all I'm being told is there is no, like, single reason why. There's a bunch of just, like, little things that have happened along the way.
It just screw up like a weed.
Make for a good story, but there is no.
That makes it a better story. It just popped up like a weed in a yard of concrete.
Yeah.
I'm assuming most yards in Cleveland are concrete.
Cleveland.
Bye, Cleveland.
Cleveland.
So okay, recaps. Back to recaps of round one before we get to our round two picks, right?
I think we finished all that.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Knicks.
About the Game 7 that we got.
We didn't talk about the Knicks.
Dude, what a series that was.
It was amazing. That was
probably the best first round series.
Ever?
And, I think we actually discussed, not on the last episode, but just you and me on the phone the other day, that we thought that was going to go 7. We thought Philly was going to push it.
I mean, I didn't until they won in such heartbreaking fashion for New York. And then to fact, like, everything happened differently than I would have expected in Game 6 as well. Like, I thought Philly was going to come out in control and New York would make a push and pull, and then Philly would gut it out. But, like, in the end of gutting it out would just kind of be spent for Game 7. And they'd be the one trailing behind in Game 7 mostly after the first quarter. But instead, I mean, the Knicks came out and just desecrated them in the first quarter. I mean, they were up by 22 in the first or late first. They were up by 22. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Is my money safe? Awesome. And then, Philly stormed back, really. And they, at one point in the second quarter, to stop the bleeding, I was closing up shop at my work. I don't own a store. I'm an employee. I'm a thankless employee. But I have to, on Wednesday and Thursday nights, I close up the place. And there was like a 15 to 20 minute window where I have to shoot baskets after I close up the place before my shift is technically over, because we're waiting for the last people to leave the gym. And so, like, I'm like, I was going to just watch this straight through to this end of the half, but I'm going to go shoot some threes. Like, I had to get moving. Like, I was, like, nervous. It was nervous energy over, I mean, it's not even my team. I mean, that's how, like, intense this was, right? And it was just my pick and then my friend's team, It was like, I was jazzed up for these Knicks, man, and I was like, I can't handle this. I don't like Philly, like, and then it's even funny that it's like the way Philly lost, it was tough, right? It was tough, and they panned to the crowd a lot, and I was just like, the thing to remember when you see these sad Sixers fans, and you're like, don't be because they're also Eagles fans. And that's important to remember.
Yes, Z's disdain for Eagles fans will probably become a common theme here on Dollar Bets.
Yeah, exactly. When they go home and beat up their pets afterwards, like, you're not responsible for their pain, okay? They're awful. Yeah. We'll get to a personal anecdote for football season.
My big takeaway from that entire series, really, and this will tie into our last episode, is Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, yes.
And I think Tyrese Maxey is making a serious playing for being in our top 9, not top 10 NBA players. And the question is, who would we take out of that list that we compiled in the last episode?
I mean, you know, like projecting, like we'll at the end of the playoffs, we'll project our 2025 top 9, right?
Okay.
We'll project our preseason top 25 and our top 2025, 9 of 20. Reset top 9 of 2025, and we'll have a postseason.
If you were to make like a list of 24 semifinalists, he's very much on that list.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he had a career high, I believe, in points this year, and also, I mean, he just that game 6, game 5, sorry, he just dominated. It was like awesome. Like,
yeah,
he kept them in the series, and if these players were healthy,
I mean, the ending of game 5, yeah, 7 points in the last 28 seconds.
Yeah, I actually think
that's like Reggie Miller.
That it was Reggie Miller, and in the same building too. It's crazy. Did you see John Stewart? John Stewart's face after he hit that shot.
I did not see that.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Courtside?
Yeah, of course. He's rich. He's rich and he likes the Knicks, so it's like, of course he's there. You know, it's like, because you know, I wonder if we ever get like ragingly popular and someone gave us seats. Like, do we have to pay for them, or these people probably don't even pay for their seats?
Yeah, they pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably one dude who owns the courtside season tickets, and he lets his famous friends buy them, probably at cost.
Johnny Betancourt, he owns all the courtside seats.
Johnny Betancourt, huh?
Yeah, Johnny Betancourt. He's a third-generation seat owner. He worked his way up from the nosebleeds.
Did he change his family name when he made it all the way up to courtside?
No, it was Betancourt. It was just a kingly name. He was meant to do that.
Yeah. All
and
right.
This is at the basketball mecca, man. Have you been to the Garden?
I have not been to the Garden.
Dude, we gotta go next year. It's fucking awesome. I mean, okay, I don't know. I haven't been in every type of like religious like setting, like worship setting. Without giving much away, I mean, I've been to like a mass, you know, not a mass of masses, but like a mass, you know. I've been to a mass, and it's like you just knowing like that people like pray there or something, or like people hope there or whatever, or grieve there. It's like it makes this place feel special, or it could, right? It could, and knowing like all that's gone on in those halls of magic in Madison Square Garden. I've been there twice, and I was like, I feel like I've been there 50 times now. It's like a fucking dope. And there's a section, it's hard to describe. It's like higher up, like near where the scoreboards and stuff, and it felt like it felt like the inner workings of a skeleton of a church. I can't even describe it. I was like, so because I always was like skeptical. And I'm like, oh, they got tight rims there. You know, no one wins. The home team never wins. But I was like, wait a minute. This place is amazing. When I went to the Michigan State games that I saw there, I saw the Kansas State overtime game, and I saw the Champions Classic in 2021, and so I saw Paulo Banchero's first game of note, and I saw Oscar Tshiebwe, and then who else? And then Kansas was the eventual national champ that year. So it's like. And I saw MSU, and I was like, this is great. Maybe I'm overhyping this because my team was involved, but, like, this is great. And when I went the next time, I was like, oh, my God, this experience was so much different from all the friends I had that were pissed off that we lost in overtime. Because I was like, I saw that live. Like, I saw that high window shot from Tyson Walker to tie the game with 4 seconds left. I saw it live. I saw the crazy three-pointers live. I saw the alley-oop live, and I'm like, there's something about the place, you know. There's places on Earth where you're just like, there's something about this place. I get it, and I was like, I felt like that. Have you ever seen Logan, the Wolverine movie?
I have not.
Oh, that I don't want to give away, but there's a moment where Logan or Wolverine is like, I get it now, and I was like, one of our 17 listeners, perhaps Travis, will understand that reference, but. Yeah, it's great. That that building is great. You need to go. We need to go. And then we need to pod afterwards in a hotel, and hopefully no one throws pizza and pasta remnants at us this time. Shout out to Holiday Inn Queens.
Back down memory lane with that horror story.
Yeah, Holiday Inn Queens, baby.
Which we do not need to go down right now.
We want to sponsor Holiday Inn Queens or the Domino's right next to it. Give us money. Give us money. In fact, give us money because we could probably sue you.
Oh, stop it.
We're not pro litigation here. We're just joking. We're just joking. We love you. Give us money or pizza.
All right, where are we at in the NBA playoffs? What have we talked about? So we talked about. All right, so yeah, we've got to talk about the next round, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about the next round. We'll talk about Dallas and Indy in regard to the next round versus like wrapping up their series. So where do you want to start?
Start tonight's game.
Okay. I got
Minnesota at Denver. We got the 2 versus the 3.
Yeah, I'll let you predict the series first because I got some thoughts too.
I think this could either be the easiest series to predict for the second round or the hardest.
Yeah, that logic makes sense with me.
Like on the surface, like it's Denver, the defending champion, against Minnesota, who are new. They really don't have any playoff experience. Some might even say they've overachieved this year.
Yeah.
Like, this should be Denver easy.
Bless you.
But if we scrape into this, I don't think Denver is as good this year as they were last year.
I think their margin for error is smaller because they don't have Bruce Brown's scoring punch. But what obviously makes them different is a healthy Murray or just healthy enough Murray. And their ability to create mismatches on the offensive end it's weird because they're usually up in the game just enough where like if the other team might press the issue and miss some shots that if they were more patient they could have taken advantage of some of Denver's actual defensive limitations, but they don't seem to do that. But weirdly, like with the Lakers, I mean, this is probably in part why Darvin Ham got the boot. They were up by most of that series, over 70%, I think we determined. And yet they lost in 5. And it's like they just couldn't get those baskets that you need, that when the other team's starting to come back and you just like stifle the run so that they have to break it up into several runs. And that's hard to do, even for a winning program like Denver, right? So I think Minnesota, it has to be Edwards averaging like 35 a game. And I think that he will get 30 or more 2 or 3 times, but they'll only win 2 of those games. I got Denver in 6.
You got Denver in 6?
Yeah, I was looking at my NBA.com pool thing, Pick'em Challenge. And, it was weird because I made some of these picks after some of the games that already started because they allowed that. And because I had forgotten, because it's not really for any money unless you're perfect, which I wasn't. But I'm 7 for 7. It's just I had Cleveland over Orlando there because the Cleveland was up 2-0 at the time. But all my second round picks were ahead of time, and I have all the second round is still alive, and I got Nuggets over Timberwolves in 6, so I'm gonna stick with that. I think Nuggets win game 1, but not in a way that necessarily sets the tone of like we got this motherfucker. Like, I think it'll be choppy because they're both a little rusty. They're gonna feel each other out, and it might get chippy at some times. But I think Jokic and Murray are just enough to win game 1 and to make sure this goes at least 5-6 for Denver. Just even if Minnesota wins both at home, it would be like in a situation where Denver won the first 2. Minnesota wins more convincingly at home, and it's 2-2, and then Denver wins 5-6. But I think it goes Denver, Minnesota, Denver. That would be if I had to guess the exact game propensity of it, I would say that. What about you, man?
So, going back to me not feeling Denver's as good as they are
Yeah.
last year, and you kind of disproved some of that. But one thing that I think might be an interesting storyline is going to be the play of Mike Porter Jr. Because if you guys have been following some of the other headlines, not even headlines, but like page 2 news these past couple weeks,
yeah,
like 3 of his brothers have gotten into trouble.
I mean, I would say more than
kicked out of the NBA.
Yeah, that's the least of it.
Another one of his brothers just got sentenced to like a few years in jail.
6 years for killing somebody in a drunk driving accident.
I can't remember if somebody was killed in that or.
Yeah, no, somebody died. That's the only way you ever get that much jail time is if somebody dies.
And then a third brother just got booked on DUI like a couple nights ago.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I think you can probably directly link that to not only having an issue, but like, having his brothers go through that and seeing his one brother being the shining star of the family. It doesn't take much apparently, but like, just it sucks. It sucks, but like, so you got a brother's keeper theory going, huh?
Yeah, I mean, how is there a chance that he is going to be a little mentally disengaged?
Okay, have you seen Breaking Bad?
No, we're not going to talk about that show. I have not seen it. No spoilers.
Dang it! Oh, there's just a family member issue that affects at some point somebody's. It's not a crucial point, but like, I'm making obscure references that are getting swatted away. I mean, although Logan and Breaking Bad aren't really, exactly like that, but I've never seen Game of Thrones, so, the same token, like, there's some things that can be thrown back at me, but I think that could...
Thrones, we got House of the Dragon Season 2 coming out in 1 month from this weekend.
Oh, I guess he's a Game of Thrones fan, then.
Yep.
I had a roommate in LA, though, that was, like, a fucking, for a better word, a dragon nerd or something, like, and I just didn't like coming home to Dungeons and Dragons at the time. I would play it now, probably, because it's creative and shit, but, like, it just bothered me, like, I don't know why, and so I would just disappear to Popeyes with the homeless people for, like, it was 2-piece 99-cent night, and I would do it every Tuesday. And I would go in my room and eat the Popeyes while I'm hearing, oh, Dragon Force explosion. Well, so I didn't watch that show. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's just not, and maybe it would have been for me in a different context because I absolutely adore the movie Willow. I love it. It's a masterpiece. But like, so I can, and I like Lord of the Rings. They're fine. They're pretty good. But yeah. Anyways. Oh my god. So you think the brothers? You got a brother's keeper feeling, and that's is that your main reasoning for them?
That's certainly not my main reason. That's why I preluded that with that might. I think it's something that should be kept an eye on, though.
Yeah.
Minnesota has a great defense, although as do pretty much every single team who's still alive.
But it's like, how much are they? How good are they against Jokic? When Jokic pulls Rudy Gobert out of the paint. So should someone else guard?
It's going to need to happen. Gobert's going to have to keep a hand in his face because Jokic can knock down those outside jumpers.
No, it's more about the cutters though that vacate that space that they should worry about, and then Jamal Murray being able to navigate drives and mid-range game.
He'll still have Cat back.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, he's not a defensive guy. Not really. He's okay at defense, but
he's a rim protector.
Is he?
It's probably his best attribute as a defender.
So my way of how Minnesota can jump the line in the West is to trade him.
Yeah, but we're not playing GM right now.
I know, but so when we're not playing GM, we can't fix them to win this series right now.
No, I'm not.
Right?
I'm just saying these are my arguments for why it's not a clear-cut 4-game sweep.
I mean, I think it's for me, that's the arguments beginning with Edwards is amazing, and he's ascending.
It's just not his time yet.
He's ascending amazing in a way that like you know how Maxey performed that well in game 5, right? I think that Edwards will give him some of that, but more than once, probably 3 times out of 6. But it just won't be enough, It won't be enough. I just don't think they can get it going on another level, like, because they got some good pieces like McDaniels. I like his game. Conley is a really strong point guard.
I've always been a fan of Conley.
I love him, even at Ohio State. Yeah.
I always said he was a top 5 point guard.
Oh yeah, I think he was, and it's more so because of the consistency, right? Like, you almost forget how good he was because he was never flashy.
No, he wasn't flashy, and he was leading those Memphis teams.
Yeah.
Then had Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph.
How much better is John Stockton as far as a non-flashy point guard than him?
How much better?
Yeah.
Much better.
John Stockton?
John Stockton's an all-time great.
I know he's an all-time great. I'm just saying, like, we're just talking about non-flashy point guards, like, because there's not a lot of other guys that strike me as that were elite point guards at their apex. And it doesn't have to be like a long, long time. But you got to think Derrick Rose, Ja Morant, both flashier. Isaiah Thomas, flashier.
Doesn't win an MVP if he's not flashy.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas, flashier. Magic, definitely flashier. So I'm like, that's why I put Stockton in there. And like, Kidd wasn't flashy. He was sort of flashy.
He's not flashy.
So it's like, I put it like Stockton, Kidd, and then there's probably a drop off. But Conley's like probably on that next tier as far as like point guards, that non-flashy point guards that we saw play on TV or in person. So we're not talking back to like 70s, early 80s where we weren't really,
Yeah, probably from like 85 on.
Yeah, coherent. Yeah, because you're only slightly older than me, so you remember seeing maybe a guy or two that I didn't see play.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think he's in there like in the next tier. He's not in that god tier, but he's above like Mark Price.
I don't think he's necessarily a Hall of Famer.
So, well, I don't know. It's tough to say because that basketball Hall of Fame is tricky, right? It's not an NBA Hall of Fame. It's just a basketball Hall of Fame. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Minnesota.
Hall of Fame. He does not get my vote.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he can pull off a
I could be
title.
convinced otherwise, but
Well, yeah. I mean, if he beats Denver and then the Thunder or Mavs, and then he beats like New York or Boston, then yeah. Well, we're suddenly like, wait a minute, he did this at what age? At what age he did this? Okay, what you got for Mavs and?
Well, so hold on. So just for the sake of disagreeing with you,
okay,
I can't pick Minnesota to win this series. I don't see it going 7, so I'll just have to say Denver in 5.
Ah, yes, Denver in 5. Do you? So that I'm guessing you. I can't convince you to take Minnesota game 1.
You cannot.
Okay. All right. So, Thunder and Dallas.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one because I have admittedly seen more Dallas than I have the Thunder, but I like the feel.
Did the Thunder sweep?
They did sweep, but New Orleans didn't have much juice left in the orange, man. They did not, and SGA is in our top 9.
He's like probably my number 9, maybe even my number 10.
SGA? Yeah, I don't think you've seen him play.
What's that?
It sounds like you haven't seen him play very much.
I haven't seen every single game.
Well, not every game. That's crazy. But I mean, like he's one of those guys that it's like if you haven't seen him enough, like which I still haven't, you're like, oh yeah, I guess he's pretty good, and then you're like, that was really smooth. Like that goes down easy. Like I don't know. It's just like he makes it.
He might just be the victim of playing in such a small market.
Yeah, but like I think it's gonna be a situation where Denver has to get through these like yeah, they might be less on paper than they were last year, but they're still really damn good. Like dynasty level potential. However, this time they got to go through. They got to go through Edwards, definitely either Luca or SGA.
I mean, the West is significantly better.
And your reward is the team that either won the most games, which is the Celtics, or my pick, the Brunson and the Knicks. And it's like, you know what? Like, if any of those three teams that have transcendent top 9 players can actually figure out how to contain Jokic as a passer, look out. Like, they can knock him off, and that's going to be really tough for them. But I got Thunder in 6. I do.
Oh, you weren't supposed to pick first that time?
Oh.
I was going to say Thunder in 6.
Dang.
So I guess the questions are the Thunder going to be rusty after this long layoff? Is Dallas going to be spent at all after a tough series with the Clippers? And how good can Luka get?
Well, I think...
How good can Kyrie get? Kyrie looked great last night.
Well, second half, yeah. Second half.
I'll say 7.
Okay. Thunder in 7?
I want to go with the more... Dallas is technically the more experienced team here.
They are, because they got Luka and Kyrie. Yeah.
Kyrie's been to the end of it.
I think they are the only... He's the only one that's won a ring on those in the freaking series, right? I mean, just offhand, the starters. Yeah.
Not only did he win the championship, he had the winning shot in the championship in Game 7. That was a crazy game.
That was a crazy game.
Let's come back to this. Let me see how our conversations go with the other series.
With the East and West? I was going to go to Boston. Boston over Cleveland or Orlando. You got that? Or do you got Orlando?
Boston's going to take down either of them, right?
I got Boston in 5.
This is the easiest one.
Boston in 5. I might not even bet on it, given that depending on the odds, if it just doesn't make any sense to, which sucks. I hate that. Boston's gonna sweep. I got them in 5. I mean, Boston has takes their foot off the gas sometimes mentally.
I don't think Boston took the foot off the gas in that one game that Miami just shot lights out, and I think Boston will be a little more mentally ready for that as a possibility.
What about no Porzingis, though?
It's okay. How many games did Porzingis miss at the end of that last series? Was it 2 or 3 games?
It was 2, I think.
Okay. And they can play against...
So I see your argument is
they can play without Porzingis.
Yeah, that it's really in the East. It's really only the top without Giannis. Anyways, Bucks weren't in that conversation. So it's really those top 2 teams. Yeah, I agree with that. I think they do manage to fart out a game to the other team though.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in my initial pick, it was Boston over Cleveland in 5, but I'm saying Boston and Orlando in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston sweeps.
And then we get to the real entree for me is the Knicks back in the second round with actually intent to do some damage further down the series.
So first of all, they're the biggest beneficiaries of round 1 results.
Yes.
Having to play Indy.
No, they would have smoked Milwaukee.
Indy is the one true upset that happened in the first round, not really considering 5-4 an upset.
No.
Very surprising.
That was not surprising. Giannis wasn't going to play. You just didn't know you didn't know he wasn't going to play, right? So, it's Giannis. I've seen Giannis live. I see what he does. I've won money on Giannis in the past, and I was like, no Giannis? Wait, it's all up to Lillard and, these cast-offs? Milwaukee, decimated their roster. Well, no, okay. I'm not talking about Brook Lopez and Portis. I'm talking about the other players. It's without Jrue Holiday, without a valid point guard running the show that's a distributor as well, they're not the same players. It's just the role players are
they're not the same players because that's their role. Their role is to contribute to in a team environment, and you take away the team environment when you take Jrue Holiday out and Giannis is injured. So then you rely on Lillard, who is defensively isn't going to be the same against a team-oriented Indiana team that can score a lot. I mean, they just scored too much, and they just didn't have. I mean, Portis and Brook Lopez are great role players, and they can really step up, but like they can't. They're not 1 and 2, right? And that's what had to happen for most of that series, and it just like I don't know. I think Indiana was fool's gold.
Indiana.
What's that?
I mean, you could argue like it may have been the worst team in the playoffs. Like I know they didn't have to go through the play-in game, but the two East teams that did were Philly and Miami. That you could argue were better teams than Indy.
No, you can't take injuries aside because the what convinced me to definitely take Indiana was I was pretty sure Giannis wasn't going to play that much, and I might have stayed away from her. I probably still would have taken Indy just for less money, but with Miami without Butler is like not like obviously they're not the same. They squeaked out a game because they shot lights out, but like you said, I mean that was a good argument they made that Boston didn't really piss that game away as much as like Miami took it with their 3-point shooting and just wasn't sustainable. No, I don't think there really was a big upset. I mean, I know shout out to Stephen A. Smith was like, it doesn't matter if Giannis would have played, they wouldn't have won this. They're not going to win this series. Without him, they're not going to win this series. He said that beforehand. And I mean that I'm not going to say that was a major influence on me, like the Monkees on the Beatles, but it's like Dumb and Dumber. But I would say like there wasn't a thing that was a true upset, and I don't think you're going to see one in this playoffs until the conference finals.
Yeah. So
Knicks in 6
over Pacers.
Yeah, Knicks in 6.
Stop saying the games before.
Why is it always you? You know I'm the Knicks guy this year.
So here was the question that I really want to pose to you.
Yes.
Yes, Knicks in 6.
Yes.
If the Knicks had Randall.
Okay.
If Julius Randle had not gone down with the shoulder injury, season-ending surgery, would they legitimately be able to take down Boston?
I don't know, because I think that without him, they can take down Boston. However, I don't actually know. So it's more like I think Boston can take down Boston, and I think they're a prove-it team. Like, prove it to me, and I'll stop hemorrhaging money against you or something. Like, I'm not hemorrhaging money against them. I just barely scraping by if I'm taking Boston because the odds aren't good. You get you're like minus 500 or something, and you're betting $100 to win 20, versus the Knicks you're getting a better price. But I do think. I know Randall's a really good player, and he was partly responsible for them getting in this position, But the way that they're ascending as a team unit, I don't know if it's a case of, we're better off in this situation and someone else is going to be the piece that gets us over the hump to, either win a title if you don't actually pull off a title this year, or to even a step further, get in a Denver mode where you're like, not only can we win a title, but we have a chance to be the next, transcendent team. And if it's one player away, if you trade, if they were to trade Randall or something, and they get a decent amount back, and then use that money on someone like DeRozan or because DeRozan's a free agent. I just think DeRozan's game works really well with Brunson, because if you get tough defense, hard-nosed scorers that are just instant bucket getters that care, and then you have Tibbs as a tough-minded coach, and then your defense is cohesive, and then you have enough guys that you can pass the ball to. Hard at the end of that game was okay, I'm just going to pass it over to here. Oh, wait a minute. No one's on me? Bam. If you're giving up open threes to decent shooters versus, contested threes to good shooters, I'm taking the open threes to decent shooters every time. Every time. And that's what they're getting when if you have two guys that are instant bucket getters instead of one. So it's I think the Knicks Celtics is what God is gonna give basketball to us. Like, I cannot wait. I hope it happens. I'm really excited.
It's happening.
It's happening. I hope so. Game 1, I got Knicks. Game 1, I got Nuggets. Game 1, I got Celtics. Game 1, I got Thunder. Any objection to those?
You're going 4 home teams.
4 home teams, 4 favorites.
I would say I will take Dallas in game 1.
Ooh, we got a dollar bet. We're ending with a dollar bet, aren't we?
I will take Dallas in game 1, but also, all the higher seeds will win the series.
Yeah, I think you said Thunder in 7. Yeah, I think that could definitely, of all the series, I think that one is the closest, because I think the margin for error for Thunder isn't gigantic, whereas I think Denver has the toughest opponent, but they have the highest margin for error because you got Jokic and Murray together, and that's that 1-2 punch is what the Knicks need. I want them to get DeRozan. This is a Bulls fan talking. Like, Bulls aren't going to win shit, okay? But like, I love DeRozan so much for the way he plays, the way he carries himself, the way he brings up younger players, and the way he talks about mental health. Like, he's a fucking deity in basketball in my mind. I think he's great, and him on the Knicks would be amazing. Make it happen.
So how many games are you going to say in the OKC Dallas series?
6. Thunder in 6. I think those games will be pretty close though, except for the closeout game.
Okay. So this isn't Price is Right. Price is Right. You don't have to be closer. You have to be on the money. Like, you don't win the bet if it goes in 5.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so you got Thunder in 7. I got Thunder in 6.
Yep.
And
then
if Dallas wins or Thunder in 5, we just have to wear funny hats.
That's it. I think we have a consensus on the other 3 series.
All right, man. Well, and down the stretch they come. Go bet on some horses, guys. Bye. What do you got to say, O?
That's a day.
Ooh-wee. Good night.